Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where we're not afraid to tackle the most awkward situations, tipping culture controversies, and am I a jerk moments that split the community. Today, we're diving into a seemingly small story that touches on a big issue: tipping. Are we obligated to tip when service is so bad it ruins our experience? And what happens when your decision to keep that tip makes someone cry right in front of you? The story is titled AITA for Not Leaving a Tip After a Bad Haircut Makes Hairdresser Cry. Was OP a demanding customer, a tough guy, or someone who went too far and pushed someone to the point of tears? Find out and let us know what you think. This story comes from Reddit user BadHaircutNoTip. We'll call him OP, a 28-year-old guy who was trying to get a good haircut. OP scheduled an appointment with a new barber at a fairly reputable salon in his neighborhood. He wasn't a picky person, just wanted a simple, clean haircut, similar to the model he had shown the barber. OP trusted the barber's skills, and he was willing to pay a fair amount for quality service. However, from the very first strokes, OP sensed something was wrong. The barber, whom we'll call stylist Sarah, seemed awkward, uncertain, and moved rather slowly. OP began to feel nervous, but he tried to stay calm, believing that everything would be fine. But no. When stylist Sarah finished the basic cut, OP looked in the mirror and was almost shocked. Not only was his hair not the same as the model, it was also cut crooked and messy. One side was clearly longer than the other, and the nape of the neck was cut too short, looking very scraggly. It was such a bad haircut that OP could hardly go out with it. OP politely pointed out the mistakes to Sarah. Sarah tried to fix it, but it seemed like the more she tried, the worse it got. Finally, Sarah had to admit that she had caused an accident. After looking at his disastrous hair, OP felt extremely disappointed. He had lost money, lost time, and now faced a damaged hair that would probably take weeks, even months, to grow back and fix. He would have to find another salon to save the situation. In OP's mind, it was clear that the service was not worth tipping, not even worth the original amount he paid. When stylist Sarah presented the bill, OP paid the exact amount for the haircut, but he did not leave a single cent as a tip. He believed that tipping was a reward for excellent service, not an obligation for poor service. However, just as OP was about to leave, the unexpected happened. Stylist Sarah looked at the bill, saw that there was no tip, and suddenly she started crying. Sarah started sobbing right at the cashier, in front of other staff and a few customers. She said that she tried her best, that she needed the tip to cover her living expenses, and that not receiving a tip made her feel insulted and unappreciated. She whined that a bad haircut didn't mean she didn't deserve a tip. OP was completely confused. He had no intention of making anyone cry. He was simply unhappy with the service and decided not to tip. He felt awkward and was noticed by the people around him. Other staff also gave him strange looks, and some customers seemed to start judging him. OP tried to stay calm and said he wasn't happy with the haircut, and that's why he didn't tip. He left shortly after with a bad haircut and a heavy heart. OP then asked himself, AITA, am I being too harsh by not tipping someone who tried and failed and even cried about it? Should I ignore the quality of service to save face for others? Torn between feeling right and confused, OP turned to the Reddit community to ask, AITA? The OP's post exploded on Reddit, garnering tens of thousands of comments and a heated debate that split into distinct camps. The topic touched a sensitive nerve for many people about tipping culture, service responsibility, and personal sensitivities. A significant portion of the Reddit community sided with the OP, insisting that he was by no means a bad person. They often emphasize that tipping is a reward for good service, not an obligation. NTA. 1,000 times NTA, tipping is for good service. Not tipping is for bad service. You don't have to pay for a mistake that cost you your hair. Her crying wasn't your fault. It was work stress or her inability to accept the truth. This comment has received tens of thousands of upvotes and multiple Reddit awards. If you didn't get the service you paid for, why should you tip? If she was penalized for not tipping, that's the salon's problem, not yours. You don't have to tip for a bad haircut. This is a cheap emotional manipulation tactic. She's crying to make you feel guilty and tip. Never give in to crocodile tears when you're being treated unfairly. Getting a haircut is a professional service. If you didn't do your job well, you don't deserve a tip. It's that simple. Some commenters tried to take a more balanced view, suggesting that both parties were partly at fault, or that this was a nobody's a bad person situation, but just a big misunderstanding due to pressure and expectations. ESH. You, OP, NTA, for not tipping, but not telling the manager directly or finding a solution on the spot, instead of just not tipping, can make the worker feel worse without any chance of improvement. She is AITA for crying and manipulating you. The salon is also AITA if they don't have a clear policy for these situations. NAH. Maybe she's a new worker, struggling or having a bad day. You have the right not to tip, but she also has the right to feel frustrated and pressured. This is a difficult situation for both of you. The YTA side is also very strong, saying that OP is the bad guy for acting inhumanely, especially when making a worker cry. YTA. Even though she got a bad haircut, she tried. Not tipping is cruel, especially when it could be her main source of income. You could have talked to the manager or tipped less, but not tipping at all and making her cry is inhumane. YTA. We live in a society that requires empathy. Everyone makes mistakes. You could have made her day much worse. Furthermore, tips are often considered part of a worker's salary, and withholding them could be financially damaging to them. You are a stingy, pretentious jerk. She cried because you insulted her. YTA. Aside from the strong comments from all sides, one comment really struck a chord and resonated with many because it captured the essence of the situation and offered a profound lesson. NTA. A professional should never let a client leave with damaged hair, and a professional should never cry to manipulate a client for a tip. You paid for a service. If the service was subpar, you are under no obligation to tip more. Her crying is her problem and the salon's problem, not yours. Never feel guilty for demanding the quality of service you deserve. This comment received tens of thousands of upvotes and multiple awards, representing the strong stance of the NTA camp and the sharp argument. The Reddit community not only gave their verdict, but also actively interacted and expanded this topic into many more in-depth discussions, providing advice and sharing personal experiences. Tipping culture and economic pressure. A heated debate about whether tipping should be an obligation or a reward. Many shared that many service workers rely on tips to survive, and not tipping can greatly affect their income. However, the NTA side argued that the responsibility lies with the business owner, not the customer. The responsibility of the salon management. Many believe that the real problem lies with the salon. If the customer is not satisfied, the salon should have a refund policy, free recut by another technician, or compensation, rather than leaving the customer and the technician to resolve the issue of to tip or not to tip. Crocodile tears and emotional manipulation. Many analyze the worker's crying behavior as a psychological manipulation tactic to pressure the customers. They warn against falling into this trap. How to handle bad service. Many people shared their experiences of how to deal with bad service, including speaking up to the manager, asking for a fix or refund, rather than just not tipping. Personal experience. Countless stories of disastrous haircuts, bad service, and how they handled the situation. Overall, this story has become a great lesson about the boundaries of tipping and the importance of quality service in any industry. After receiving countless comments from the Reddit community, ranging from support to harsh criticism, the OP had time to seriously think about his actions and words. He had some important updates about what happened afterward and how he feels now. Summary of updates. No regrets about not tipping. OP stated that after reading the comments and thinking about it, he still believes that not tipping was the right decision. He did not receive the service he wanted, and having to pay for a hair fix was an unnecessary expense. He does not believe that he is obligated to tip for a bad service. Feel awkward, but not guilty about the stylist's reaction. He admitted that seeing stylist Sarah cry made him feel awkward and a little sorry, but he did not feel guilty. He realized that it could have been due to her work pressure or an emotional overreaction, and that it was not his responsibility to manage someone else's emotions after receiving a bad service. Hair fix. OP went to another salon and had to pay extra for a stylist better than fixing his disastrous haircut. He felt so relieved to have his normal hairstyle back. Thoughts on communication. While OP doesn't regret not tipping, he did think about whether he should have spoken more directly to the salon manager on the spot. He realized that it could have resolved the issue more professionally and avoided the awkward situation with stylist Sarah. OP is now relieved that his hair is fixed and he has clarity about his decision. He remains steadfast in his belief that tipping is for good service and that he shouldn't feel pressured to tip for poor quality. This experience taught him an important lesson about standing up for himself as a customer. He doesn't regret posting to Reddit, as it helped him build his confidence and gain empathy from like-minded people. OP's story is a classic example of the challenges of communication between customers and service providers, especially when it comes to quality and tipping culture. It highlights core issues of expectations, accountability, and personal feelings in a service environment. Conflicting emotions in the story OPs. Initially, the expectation of a great haircut, then the disappointment and anger at the poor results, the awkwardness and confusion of seeing the stylist cry, but ultimately the steadfastness and righteousness of her decision. Stylist Sarah's, possibly stress and lack of confidence in the process. When she was not tipped, she experienced disappointment, hurt, humiliation because she felt undervalued, and financial pressure that led to her crying. From the Reddit community, from outrage for the worker or OP, to empathy for the OP or worker, to a rational analysis of tipping culture and service responsibility. The Reddit community, in this case, acted as a social court and an open forum for debate. They helped OP gain validation for her decision from an objective perspective, but also provided multiple perspectives, forcing OP to think more carefully about the impact of her actions. This proves that Reddit can be a place to seek support, but also a place to confront opposing opinions and learn from different perspectives. Character analysis OP, customer. represents a customer who demands his rights when the service is not up to par. He shows steadfastness in his principles about tipping. Stylist Sarah, worker, a controversial character. She may be an inexperienced or stressed worker, resulting in poor quality work. Her crying response is interpreted as emotional manipulation or a sign of desperation due to financial pressure. Salon system. Expanded topic on the responsibility of salon owners to ensure quality service and clear salary policies for employees to avoid such situations from happening. Lessons learned. Tipping is a reward, not an obligation. Tips are for good service and positive experiences. Customers are not obliged to tip when receiving substandard service or causing problems. Service quality is paramount. For service providers, quality of work must be the top priority. If the service is poor, customers have the right to be dissatisfied and not tip. The importance of face-to-face communication. In such situations, speaking directly to the manager about poor service quality can be a more effective way to resolve the issue and avoid personal embarrassment. Don't give in to emotional pressure. Don't let other people's emotions, like crying, dictate your decisions when you feel you're being treated unfairly. Pressure from the service industry. The story also reveals some of the pressure that service workers face, especially when their income depends on tips. However, that responsibility cannot be placed entirely on the customer. Value for money and service. Every dollar spent must be commensurate with the value received. OP's story is a testament to the difficult choices and unforeseen circumstances we face in our daily lives. It's an important reminder to stand up for ourselves, but it also encourages us to think about the pressures others may be facing. The debate over tipping will never end, but the lesson from this story is clear. Always demand quality for what you pay, and don't let other people's emotions dictate your decisions. What do you think of this story? How would you handle it if you were in OP's shoes? Have you ever not tipped after receiving bad service, and what happened? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thanks for following Reddit Stories. See you next time. Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where we're not afraid to tackle kitchen battles, weird cravings, and am I a bad person? Moments that leave the community laughing and arguing endlessly. Today, we're going to delve into a seemingly simple story that touches on sensitive issues of pregnancy cravings, empathy, and invisible boundaries in the family. Imagine you're carrying a little person and suddenly have a craving come over you. Then, in the blink of an eye, that hope is dashed by an action that's incredibly embarrassing. The story is titled AITA for eating all the shrimp her sister-in-law was craving during pregnancy. Is OP a heartless person or just a victim of misunderstanding and sudden hunger? Find out and let us know what you think. This story comes from Reddit user uShrimpEaterOP. We'll call him OP, a young man who accidentally became the center of a family food fight. OP has a sister-in-law, whom we'll call sister-in-law, Lisa, who is 6 months pregnant. Lisa is known for having strange and sudden cravings during pregnancy. The whole family is used to this, and often tries to satisfy those desires to make Lisa feel most comfortable. One afternoon, Lisa suddenly felt a strong craving for shrimp. Not just any shrimp, but steamed shrimp with garlic butter sauce. It was an obsessive craving. She immediately told her husband, OP's brother, about it. Her husband, who is always accommodating, quickly went to the supermarket and bought a large amount of the freshest shrimp. He even bought the ingredients to make Lisa's special garlic butter sauce. When Lisa's husband brought the shrimp home, Lisa couldn't wait. She clearly told everyone in the house, including OP, who was playing games in the living room, "Everyone, this shrimp is mine. I'm craving it, so don't touch it without my permission. I'll steam it right now," she said in a cheerful yet warning tone. Soon after, Lisa was busy in the kitchen, steaming the shrimp and making the sauce. The aroma of shrimp and garlic butter quickly spread throughout the house, causing everyone to sniffle. OP, who was concentrating on her game, also smelled the aroma. He admitted that he also felt a little hungry. After the shrimp was steamed, Lisa placed a large plate of steamed shrimp and a bowl of garlic butter sauce neatly on the kitchen counter, then went into the living room to get her phone. She was only gone for a few minutes. And then the unexpected happened. When Lisa returned to the kitchen, she found her shrimp plate completely empty, not a single shrimp left. The sauce bowl was also completely empty. Someone had eaten all the shrimp she had been craving so much. The shrimp she had clearly said was reserved for her. Lisa looked around and saw OP sitting at the dining table with a satisfied look on his face and garlic butter sauce smeared around the corner of his mouth. Lisa couldn't believe her eyes. Her pregnancy cravings had reached their peak, and now they were brutally extinguished. She suddenly exploded. Lisa started screaming at OP, asking why he dared to eat all her shrimp when she had clearly warned him. She started sobbing, saying that OP had ruined her appetite, that he was thoughtless and selfish and unaware of pregnant women. Lisa's husband, OP's brother, and other family members also rushed into the kitchen when they heard Lisa screaming. They saw the empty shrimp plate and Lisa crying. OP's brother also got angry with him, calling him thoughtless and rude. OP was completely confused. He honestly said that he didn't think much of it. He just saw the fragrant shrimp and thought that Lisa had finished steaming it and left it for everyone to eat. He was also hungry, so he ate it all. He didn't expect this to cause such a huge backlash. He tried to apologize and explain, but no one listened. Lisa continued to cry and refused to talk to him. Feeling unfairly blamed for what he considered an unintentional action, OP took to the Reddit community to ask, "AITA, am I a bad person for eating all the shrimp my pregnant sister-in-law craved, even though she clearly said it was hers?" The OP's post exploded on Reddit, not only garnering tens of thousands of comments, but also causing an unprecedented wave of outrage. The topic touched a sensitive nerve for many, sparking a heated debate about empathy, personal boundaries, and especially pregnancy cravings. Supporters: this is extremely small. There are still a few comments trying to defend OP, often based on the excuse of being careless or not knowing how severe pregnancy cravings are. NTA. Maybe you didn't pay attention to what she said, or you thought she was joking. Who knew pregnancy cravings could be so bad? She's overreacting. If she said it was hers, why would she leave it in such an accessible place? Maybe she should have been more careful. But you should still ask before eating. Some comments tried to give a more balanced perspective, but still tended to criticize OP. OP is the biggest AITA for eating everything without asking, especially when warned. But Lisa may have also reacted a little too strongly, even though her feelings were justified. NH. This is a huge misunderstanding due to lack of communication and OP's lack of awareness. OP may not have meant to cause harm, but his actions caused great consequences. The vast majority of the Reddit community sided with Lisa and declared OP to be a complete jerk. Not only did they criticize OP's actions, but they also expressed extreme outrage. Featured comment 1, YTA, totally YTA, you were warned. How dare you say you don't think too much? That's inconsiderate, disrespectful, and selfish. You took away a simple joy from a pregnant woman who is already going through all sorts of hardships. Don't ever do that again. This comment received tens of thousands of upvotes and multiple Reddit awards, making it one of the most popular top comments in AITA history. Rule number 1. When having a pregnant woman in the house, never touch their food without permission, especially when they have made it clear it's theirs. You've broken a golden rule. Eating all the food a pregnant woman is craving is like ruining their dreams. It's not just food, it's their comfort and little joy. You're a despicable human being. Our hero was too busy playing games to hear the warning. Poor guy. YTA. This isn't about shrimp. This is about blatant disrespect for other people and their wishes. Especially pregnant women, they've suffered a lot. You did a terrible thing. Apart from the strong comments from the YTA side, one comment really struck a chord and was agreed upon by many because it captured the essence of the situation and gave a profound lesson. YTA. Pregnant women's cravings are no joke. They can be intense and specific. The fact that she made it clear it was hers and you ate it anyway without asking is incredibly disrespectful. She's not just mad about the shrimp, she's mad about your disrespect and lack of empathy. Sincerely apologize and buy her the shrimp immediately. This is a lesson in empathy and listening. This comment received thousands of upvotes and awards, emphasizing the psychological aspect of the story and the OP's responsibility. The Reddit community not only gave their verdict, but also actively interacted and expanded this topic into many deeper discussions, providing advice and sharing personal experiences. Pregnant women's sensitivity. Many users shared their personal experiences of strange cravings and sensitive emotions during pregnancy, emphasizing that this is not something to joke about or belittle. Family members' responsibility. The community emphasized that relatives should support and sympathize with pregnant women, instead of making things more difficult, unintentional versus inconsiderate. A big debate broke out about the line between unintentional and inconsiderate or irresponsible. Many people believe that OP's actions were not simply unintentional, but due to lack of awareness. Lesson on listening and respect. The story becomes a classic example of the importance of listening, respecting others' words, and the need for empathy in relationships. What to do next? Many people advised OP to buy the shrimp back for Lisa immediately, apologize sincerely, and learn from this mistake. Overall, this story has become a great lesson on empathy and personal responsibility in family relationships, especially with pregnant women. After receiving a flood of comments, most of which declared him a bad person, OP had time to seriously reflect on his actions. He has provided some important updates on what happened afterward and his current state of mind. Summary of updates. Remorse and actions. OP admitted that he had made a serious mistake. After reading the comments on Reddit, he realized the severity of his actions. He immediately went to buy more of the freshest shrimp and steamed them himself for Lisa, along with a sincere apology. Lisa's apology and response. OP went to Lisa and apologized directly and sincerely without making excuses or blaming. He admitted that he had been thoughtless and thoughtless. Lisa, although still a little upset, accepted OP's apology after seeing his remorse and corrective actions. She explained how she felt hurt and disappointed when her appetite was suddenly extinguished. Relationship healing. The relationship between OP and Lisa has gradually healed. Lisa has started talking to him again. OP's brother has also calmed down and accepted the apology. Expensive lesson. OP has learned a valuable lesson about listening, empathy, and the importance of small things to others, especially pregnant women. He promises to be much more careful in the future. OP now feels remorseful for his actions, but also relieved that he had the opportunity to make amends and heal the relationship. He realizes that he was indeed the bad guy in that situation, but has learned an important lesson about empathy and responsibility. He still gets teased about this shrimp incident from time to time, but he accepts it as a reminder to always think before acting, especially with loved ones who are going through a sensitive period. After receiving a flood of comments, most of which declared him a bad person, OP had time to seriously reflect on his actions. He has provided some important updates on what happened afterward and his current state of mind. Summary of updates. Remorse and actions. OP admitted that he had made a serious mistake. After reading the comments on Reddit, he realized the severity of his actions. He immediately went to buy more of the freshest shrimp and steamed them himself for Lisa, along with a sincere apology. Lisa's apology and response. OP went to Lisa and apologized directly and sincerely without making excuses or blaming. He admitted that he had been thoughtless and thoughtless. Lisa, although still a little upset, accepted OP's apology after seeing his remorse and corrective actions. She explained how she felt hurt and disappointed when her appetite was suddenly extinguished. Relationship healing. The relationship between OP and Lisa has gradually healed. Lisa has started talking to him again. OP's brother has also calmed down and accepted the apology. Expensive lesson. OP has learned a valuable lesson about listening, empathy, and the importance of small things to others, especially pregnant women. He promises to be much more careful in the future. OP now feels remorseful for his actions, but also relieved that he had the opportunity to make amends and heal the relationship. He realizes that he was indeed the bad guy in that situation, but has learned an important lesson about empathy and responsibility. He still gets teased about this shrimp incident from time to time, but he accepts it as a reminder to always think before acting, especially with loved ones who are going through a sensitive period. OP's story is a clear example of how a seemingly small action can have big consequences, especially when it comes to the sensitivity of a pregnant person. It highlights core issues of empathy, personal boundaries, and family responsibility. The conflicting emotions in the story OP's, initially innocence, hunger, and thoughtlessness, then confusion, shock in the face of rage. Finally, regret, learning, and relief in making amends. Lisa's Sill, from intense desire and longing to extreme disappointment, hurt, and anger when the desire is crushed. This emotion is amplified by hormonal changes and the difficulties of pregnancy. OP's brother and family. Defending Lisa and outrage at OP, reflecting their understanding of Lisa's situation. The Reddit community, in this case, acted as a powerful wake-up call and an uncompromising source of feedback. They helped OP realize the severity of his actions, something he might not have fully understood if he had relied solely on his own feelings. The overwhelming YTA verdict forced OP to confront his mistake and pushed him to take action to correct it. This proves that Reddit can be a powerful tool for learning and growing from personal mistakes. Character analysis OP, narrator. Initially unempathetic and uncaring, but has the ability to learn and accept mistakes. He is an example of how growth can come from facing criticism. Lisa Sill represents pregnant women who may experience intense emotions and cravings. Her reaction, while perhaps excessive, is completely understandable in the context of pregnancy. Family brother represents relatives who are protective and understanding of the pregnant person, while also being able to point out the mistakes of family members. Lessons learned. Empathy is key, especially for pregnant women. Empathy and understanding of what they are going through, both physically and emotionally, is extremely important. Listen to warnings. When someone makes a clear request or warning about something, especially pregnant food, listen and respect it. Careless actions can have big consequences. Even if you don't mean to cause harm, acting without thinking can cause real pain to others. The importance of sincere apologies. When you do something wrong, a sincere apology without excuses and a willingness to make amends is the best way to repair the relationship. Pregnancy cravings are no joke. They are a real physiological phenomenon and can be very intense. People around you should be supportive and responsive when possible. Personal responsibility. OP took responsibility for his actions and made amends, which is an important lesson in maturity. OP's story is a testament to the fact that in everyday life, sometimes the smallest actions can cause the biggest arguments, especially when carelessness meets sensitivity. We hope this story serves as a reminder to always put yourself in other people's shoes, listen to what they have to say, and show empathy, especially to those going through special stages in their lives. What do you think of this story? How would you handle it if you were in OP's shoes? Have you ever experienced strange pregnancy cravings or witnessed someone being deprived of their favorite food? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thanks for following Reddit Stories. See you next time.